Okay, take 4, because I hate myself. Okay, so in the last video, I may have messed up. The camera didn't actually show my belt in the loadout video, so this is the video that I'm going to talk about my belt setup. Before I talk about what I'm using right now, I want to talk about what I was using before. So when I first started Airsoft, I picked up this battle belt here. So if you're familiar or played Airsoft in the early mid-2000s, you're probably familiar with this. This is an HSGI battle belt. It was all the rage for a while. I've got these sort of taco pouches on here, a max position dump pouch, a big ass IFAK. I've got my KJW M9 on a Safariland holster here as well. But the cool thing, or the good thing, and why everyone used this before, is that back in the day, 2-piece sort of gun belt setups didn't really exist. It was typically like a battle belt. That was the norm. And so with this this battle belt, this HSGI one, has like this rubberized material on the inside. So that way, when you put it on, it kind of like sticks to you a little bit, or at least it's supposed to. And so you can pretty much wear this with any kind of like big clothing, like parkas. It didn't really matter because you didn't really attach it through Velcro, just through, as long as it buckled up, it worked. And it was great, but I think one of the biggest problems is that if you're running around with it a lot, if you're moving with this, it doesn't matter how tight you make this, it'll still move pretty dramatically. And so, and especially with this thing, there wasn't really a good way to kind of like holster it onto your body. They did sell like kind of an H harness for this as well, but ideally didn't want to have a harness on top of this thing or use in conjunction with this thing. So I was looking on the market for different options, and that's where I ended up at my new gun belt. And so for my gun belt, the company who makes this is an AWS gun belt. I bought this about 7 years ago. Big fan of the gun belt itself. One, because a friend of mine who recommended it to me in Florida, he said that this thing was solid. And this thing is solid for sure. It's rigid. It's really hard to sort of like flex. And this has been 7 years, and this thing is almost just as rigid as it used to be before when I first bought it. So definitely highly recommend this belt. If you've been following kind of these Reddit threads here recently, the AWS belts are a little bit hard to get, mostly because they're on big back order. The company itself is having some problems in terms of actually sending out some of the orders there. So just keep that in mind. If you do want this belt, I do recommend it. I think it's a great belt to have. But the fulfillment times may be a little bit longer than you'd expect, so maybe wait till that kind of dies down. But the belt itself is great. This is the multicam version there. I think it's in the size medium. Talking about the holster, going from this side to the other side here, I've got this Safariland holster. This is a 6360 RDS and a level 3 holster. I've got it also attached here via a QLS fork, which is my preferred method in terms of actually attaching anything to it. So this is the Safariland 6360 level 3. So in order to actually pull up the pistol out, I need to push forward with my thumb in order to actually activate the hood. And then I've got a nub mod here, which allows me to actually easily, quote unquote easily, pull out the pistol. The pistol, by the way, is a TM Glock 17 Gen 5. I'll talk about this in a different video, but this is kind of a fun pistol to have. So that is the holster in a nutshell. And then right below it, for the holster apparatus itself, I've got a defense mechanism sort of TQ, elastic TQ like holder. The great thing about this is that it works and it's cheap. So it's really kind of hard to beat that. I've seen other things on the market where they'll actually mount the TQ itself to the holster. And I was thinking about that route, but I typically don't run a holster without sort of the mounting apparatus. So for me, it just made sense to have this on at all times, because if I take this pistol off and I don't use a pistol for a match, then I still want a TQ on me, like right here. So this is the holster. I talked about this just briefly there, but pulling the pistol out is a little bit counterintuitive with Safariland, especially for level 3s. And so with the level 3s, again, you have to push down and then forward in order to actually unlock the hood and push it out of the way. At that point, you can use a nub mod, pull out the pistol. So the movement itself is, the mechanics really aren't that intuitive. You have to push down, out, then back. So you definitely have to practice a lot more to get used to it and really fine tune and make it quick. But what I saw in the market was interesting was this Alien Gear Rapid Force holster. This is also level 3. It's got its overprotecting hood here. But the great thing about this is that it's so quick to actually pull out the pistol and then re-index really quickly. So instead of having to go down, forward, and back, all I need to do is go down and back. Because pressing the big button here like pushes through a spring the top hood and the actual level 3 like locking mechanism, and then back is how you actually pull out the pistol. So great holster. Milspec Mojo has a great video about this thing, and that's ultimately why I bought this thing. But works really well. It's really quick. The great thing about this too is that I've got this the T adapter. It's a T adapter for mounting the Safariland QLS fork on it. You can buy that through Alien Gear. So I bought that. So this is also on a QLS fork for Safariland. So I can also just pop that guy on there. And the fork is basically my go-to method for attaching any kind of like holsters nowadays because it's so easy. Moving on from the holster, here I've got this Blue Force gear. This is the IFAC along with their elastic sort of TQ holder as well built in. The great thing about the IFAC in general for the Blue Force gear is that it's really compact and small. And so there's like these big old IFACs on the market. I really wanted something that's a little more compact, a little more like tight, because the belt space, the MOLLE space I have in my belt is fairly limited as it is. And so this is what element we went to. I have these trauma shears at the top here that are kind of looped into this little hook. And I've got the T here at the bottom, so it kind of maxed it out. The good thing about the IFAC in general too is that you see this pull tab here on the side that I can easily just pull this out, and the entire medical contents, everything just pulls out really quickly. So really easy to quit and quick to deploy. And yeah, that's the IFAC, really nice and small, perfect for my setup here. And I've looked at some other options, but I think for me, it's nice having everything compact. The next thing I've got is this Esstac QE single mag pouch, as well as a Flatline Fiberco mini dump pouch. Before this, I used to have the dump pouch actually take up more space in the MOLLE over here, and then a rifle pouch next to it, which took up a lot more space horizontally than I would actually like. And so the good thing about the Flatline Fiberco is that it actually works integrated with any kind of like mag pouch and actually floats it below it. I typically like to include dump pouches on all my kits, mostly because, you know, you're walking around the field, something breaks, or you have some object that's not really a great fit for sort of your general purpose pouches, and I don't typically have too many of them. And so having a dump pouch means I can just throw something in there, wait till I get to a more secure area, you know, pull it out, reattach it as is to more securely, and it really works. So big fan of dump pouches. Just makes things a little bit easier, and in case I need to reload and I panic, I can just throw it inside the pouch and I'm done. Esstac QEs, that's basically my go-to standard for most of my battle belts or gun belt setups. At this point, hard to beat. I usually run like M4 mags anyway, so I don't need to worry about sort of compatibility with AK mags, any of that stuff. So these work well. No complaints there. They just work. And then next tip here is the Spiritus Systems JSTA pouch. I talked a little bit about how I don't have typically like any sort of like admin or general purpose kind of like pouches, but this is kind of the first pouch for me for that one. And a friend of mine actually recommended me this pouch because I was looking for something that, one, would give you a little more flexibility in terms of like stuff I can carry on the field, and also allow me to carry more mags. And so the great thing about this is that the general purse pouch, if I open this guy up here, inside there's like these two little pockets where I can put like, I typically will have like thunder bees or grenades. Right now I've got like this speed loader too if I need that, so really accessible, really easy. Kind of a big, a decently sized pouch, so I can put a decent amount of stuff in there. You'll see like kind of like this laser cut MOLLE section, and what this is the Wiseman company, their adapter for the Velcro for the JSTA. So the JSTA itself comes with like this Velcro material that it's kind of loud and noisy once you open it or put it back, which is not great if you're trying to pull out a grenade and the guys who are next to you. So this makes it really quiet. It's really easy to secure. So I just line up these little teeth here with the indentations, pull up a little bit, and it's secure. So pretty straightforward there. It's a good pouch to have, expands out really nicely, and I can fit grenades, which is something that I always really wanted to include more as a better spot to include grenades in. And with this pouch too, so I mentioned the two little pouch things in the inside, or two little pockets. It also has room for this little insert here, which I've got a single rifle and a single pistol mag pouch here. which is really good because I can fit a lot more stuff within that same kind of like 3 or 4 levels of MOLLE, which is what I wanted. The last part here, or the second last part, is I've got this Esstac QE 45-degree single pistol mag pouch. I used to have, before the JSTA, before this one, like these double pistol mag pouches where the pistols would kind of stick up, like right here, which was problematic in the sense of if I'm leaning over or if a sling or something else is kind of in the way, it was a lot harder to reload. And so having this kind of pouch at an angle makes it so that I can approach the belt from the side where the plate carrier is not really at, and it's more accessible. So this makes the reloading a lot faster, a lot easier to get to, and then I don't have to worry about it getting snagged on the sling necessarily too. And the last thing here is my little like sort of carabiner Grimlock thingamabobber. This is where I typically will store gloves. I've seen other people like store electrical tape or like bungees or chem lights, stuff like that. I typically just like to include just the gloves. Sometimes the gloves itself I'll throw into a pouch, but if I'm using the belt and I want to make sure I have the gloves on me at all times, it's nice having this little like carabiner to actually help me like attach the gloves there. And I think that's basically it for my belt setup. I liked it because it's really streamlined. It's worked well for me so far. The JSTA is, for me, one of those pouches that I think is a game changer, especially for belt setups where you can include a lot of different things inside of it. And so it's a multi-use kind of pouch that's just perfect for belts. It's really geared for it ultimately too. Some things I may want to improve on later on is that I used to actually have an unobtainium gear flashbang pouch that was right here. I tried to maximize and use all the MOLLE space that I could, and so I included right here. Now that I've got the JSTA, I don't actually need to have that sort of pouch anymore. Although where I might do with this kind of like these 2 MOLLE spots is put Spiritus Systems, their spud pouch. So that's really good because I can fit multiple different mags in there. I can put a water bottle theoretically. Other kind of big objects I can kind of throw here in the back, or it's kind of accessible, but also not really, just kind of there. So I do typically like to have more weight on my hips than on my back to the plate carrier, just because it helps with just sort of weight distribution. All right, so that basically wraps up my war belt setup. If you have any questions about the belt setup, feel free to let me know in the comments below. But if not, hope to see you guys next video.